stuff. Absolutely wonderful. Now, do the news. This has been circulating on a rumour. I heard this a while ago. I didn't want to say anything because it's sort of top secret, but this week it all came out. It's all over Facebook and so on and so forth. And the news is that Helen Mulholland, the head blender at Bushmills, is leaving. She's leaving. We don't know what. Now, as I say, this has been circulating about for a while, and didn't want to say anything because I heard it a while ago, but it was released this week on an Australian Bush whisky page. Now, the Australian page revealed that their Causeway Coast 2 is another Banyuls cask, which is sort of a French port cask. Now, it's not clear whether Helen is moving to Pastures New or whether she is just retiring and going about trying to do something else. But I would imagine there's plenty of offers going to be available to her. Should she decide that she wants to go to, let's say, the States, if they ever open up and let people in, then she probably could head over that way, I would have thought. But anyway, I'll be very sad that it's a huge loss to her, huge loss to Bushmills. Now, just on the Causeway Coast collection, it's going to be another Banyuls cask, 2011 bottling, Oloroso bourbon cask, and then finished in that French port, 53.6% ABV. So that's out that obviously the Causeway Coast collection is being released very shortly, and that people are going to have to start doing their collections again. So, yeah.
Where's this one going to be available, Marty? Is it going to be available locally?
That bottle is in Australia. Now, I would imagine it'll be exactly the same as they did last year. It'll be certain bottles will be released in certain areas. Some will be massively collectible. Some will be very, very limited edition. I mean, the way Bushmills did it last year was very strange because the very expensive one, there was lots of the very expensive ones, and then limited amount of the less expensive ones, and then it sort of went a bit all over the place. The 30-year-old American oak cask one is I mean, it's about £1,000 a bottle now. And to be honest, if I'm totally honest, I think at £1,000 it's maybe a little bit underpriced on the secondary market, but we'll see. So again, we're going to release this, and this gets released out. So whatever Helen is going to do, the very, very best of luck to her. The thing is, I heard this a few weeks ago that the rest of the bottles are not going to have her name on them. They're going to have Colin Megan's, because this bottle is the last bottle to have her name on it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Maybe don't quote me on this; it might be slightly different in the flesh, but yeah.
There's Mark Kerr telling us the bad news that he drunk all his Causeway collection, and now it's going to be worth a fortune, Mark. Oh,
some of them will never be worth a fortune, but some of them really will. Some of them will shoot up in value because they'll be really hard to collect, really hard to get. But that's the way of the world at the minute, So, yeah.
Where we're heading to tonight, then?
We're heading to the duplicitous world of surreptitious and sneaky whiskey dealers, because a company called, right, bear with me on this because I might pronounce this wrong, Elucida, Eluceda, has invented a handheld machine to detect fake whiskey. Now, an EU IPO report claims that the alcohol industry loses well over €1 billion a year from counterfeit products. What this company has done is invented this little handheld machine that you can dip into a whiskey, and based on a database that it was given by the Scotch Whisky Research Institute, it compares the chemical signature of what's in your glass with the chemical signature of the whiskey. Now, this will not stop the bottles, the fake auction bottles and effect bottles
that people never open. Yeah, won't stop
that's
that.
the idea. But what it does stop is somebody who has a bottle of Middleton Very Rare up on for sale in bars and hotels and so on. Shall we say refilling it with an inferior product or a cheaper product? Because let's be honest, lots of people buy these, and they maybe buy them as a one-off treat. You go in and there's lots of bars that will sell you a measure of whiskey at 30, 50, £100 a measure, and you probably never try it before, never try it since. This stops that. Now, this will probably not be for the average punter like ourselves, but it will be a very, very useful tool for, shall we say Middleton or Bushmills, whatever. They want to go out and make sure that the product that's being sold out of those bottles is the correct product. So that's what they'll be doing. So yeah,
because it would be a really bad thing if you went out and you got shortchanged, wouldn't it? Yeah,
Justin, for years, and I can tell you from first-hand experience that back in the day, I'll give you a good example. It used to be that Cossack vodka, if you bought 10 cases of Cossack vodka, they give you a case free. Smirnoff didn't. So for years, and I mean years, people were drinking Cossack vodka but paying for Smirnoff. This went on for years and years and years. And I know that this happened because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll not tell you how I saw it with my own eyes. I've never run a bar, so it wasn't me doing it. But I had first-hand experience of people doing it. I've watched them doing it.
Okay. All right.
Now,
certainly a very useful tool, but sounds expensive, that Lucida.
Probably it's not as expensive as you think. The machine itself is called the eSense hand detectors, and it basically just works by testing the chemical signature and comparing it to a database. So I don't think it would necessarily be all that expensive.
It would probably work if your drink was spiked too, wouldn't it?
That probably would, yeah.
Foiled again.
Oh god.
Oh boy.
Oh no. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how many people get caught out, because these wee test kits. Yeah. Interesting little thing.
All right. Now, where are we heading this week? Because we're going to go and visit foreign parts very soon, aren't we?
We are. We're going to a land down under. Now, the reason I wanted to highlight this is Writer's Tears. For anyone who's never tried Writer's Tears, it's a fantastic whiskey. It really is. I'll just pour myself on because I haven't had a whiskey tonight. I'll tell you another thing, just before we go any further. I was in the bar just before I come up here because it's my stepmother's 70th birthday today. And can I just wish her the happiest of happy birthdays. She's a saint that walks the earth. And Charlotte, thank you very much for all you do for us. It really does mean a lot to me. It really does. So, yeah. Anyway, now, get back to the story.
Mark Kerr saying Writer's Tears is what's in his glass tonight, actually.
Honestly, it's a super whiskey. Now, what they've released this week is their first pot still, standalone, single pot still whiskey. The normal one that they get is a blend, and it's got some pot still element to it. But this is their pot still release. It's £49 or €59 a bottle, triple distilled bourbon cask, then PX and Marsala hogsheads, 46%. Now, this is going to be a standalone product. It's not a special release. However, the first batch is limited to 5,800 bottles. So it'll be available later on in the year when it'll be available in the States later on this year. If you haven't tried Writer's Tears, it's definitely one that I would recommend to you. It's got lovely nose to it, lovely body to it, but really sort of smoky, silky, and creamy texture to it. Nice finish, very affordable. It's a really, really good whiskey. So try that, and it'll be nice to try a pot still. I'm not sure of the mash bill. I read some stuff about it, but never seen the mash bill. But it'll have hopefully that pot still spice to it, and I'm fairly confident that this will be a good one. It'll be well worth having a look at.
Okay, worth a punt. Vic Cameron saying hello tonight, and Darren Barney Milligan is saying hello. Nice to see you. Catching up with us this week again, Vic, and Darren Barney Milligan as well. So,
yeah. Now, tonight's show is about environmental stuff, okay? And, well, the last 2 stories have kind of an environmental element to them. So stick with us. Next up, Yamazaki, the Japanese bottling, have announced that they are going to release a 46% ABV, 55-year-old blend. Now, it's a blend of 3 single malts from the 1960s.
wow.
Hang on, we'll get to this in a wee minute. Why you're going wow? One was matured in a Mizunara oak, and the other 2 in American white oak. Now, this is what the chief blender, Shinji Fukuyo. I hope I said that right, and then I ain't going to get Zuckerberg or anything like that. Anyway, Fukuyo. Anyway, this is what he said. Now, not to get a bit poncy, but this is a direct quote. While I often view other extra-age whiskies as art, I consider Yamazaki 55 to be more like a Buddhist statue, calm and mysterious, requiring time to enjoy inner beauty. Don't know what that means. I don't know. But here's the thing.
That sounds like Bill Murray wrote it for him. Bill Murray wrote the advert, starred in the advert. No,
it could very well be. It's very well be. However, when you buy this bottle, Justin, there's only 100 bottles of it. When you buy this bottle,
how much?
We'll get to the price in a wee minute. But all I'll say is, it's that expensive that when you buy a bottle, they donate $5,000 to the White Oak Initiative, which is a program to ensure the long-term sustainability of American white oak. So you have a social conscience. Greta Thunberg probably drinks that of an evening. Now, is Greta 18, by the way? I don't know. Google and see if Greta's 18, because if not, Greta doesn't drink it. So Greta could drink this with a social conscience if she was 18. I don't know where she is or not. Because $5,000 we go. Because it's only $60,000 a bottle.
How much?
$60,000 a bottle. But they give a bit to charity, Justin. They give a bit to charity. So is that not all good?
It is.
There'll probably never be any of these drunk. These are totally and utterly collectible. And to be fair, at 60,000, 2 or 3 years' time, they'll be worth 3 times that probably. So, yeah. It's a submarine. Don't be telling the French.
That's what I was going to say. Are we about to attack France?
No. The French. Did you see the French have thrown all the toys out of the pram?
Sacre bleu.
Because the Americans have said that they're going to give nuclear-powered submarines to the Australians, and yeah, so the French have went off their trolley. But I read this story today, and I think I sort of pray that the guy who's in charge of this was sort of taking the piss. I hope he was. Now, this is the week also that Boris's bridge got knocked in the head. For anyone who doesn't know, Boris Johnson, Prime Minister, proposed building a bridge from Ireland to Scotland, which would be a great job. I'd love it. But it was always a bit of a nonsense. I once had a guy say to me, yeah, but they built the Channel Tunnel. Yes, they did build the Channel Tunnel, and it links London and Paris. Boris's bridge was going to link Larne and Portpatrick, which is not really the same thing. It was absolutely nuts.
I know, but the Victorians proposed a tunnel years ago, sort of an undersea tunnel on stilts. And if you don't believe it's a real thing, I'm going to send you the link so you can actually look this up, and you'll know I'm telling the truth about this. There you go. There's the link to Scotland's forgotten undersea tunnel.
But the engineering aspect of it was one thing. I totally get that they could possibly do it. But there's a couple of things. It was going to turn out. It started off. It was going to cost 15 billion. And then they get a report in this week. No, it's not 15. It's actually 100 billion. So needless to say, unless they're going to tax Rangers and Celtic fans for fighting in the middle of it, there's absolutely no way they're going to pay for it. So it's just absolutely mental. So it's been knocked in the head. But this week, a company, I had a route down here, but I can't remember. A company has come out and said that they want to run hydrogen-fueled submarines to run between Glasgow and Belfast. Unmanned, they would just run sort of autonomously, and they might be able to charge up at electrical stations and stuff. Now, they've been given 380,000 for this. Oceanways is the name. I've just seen it there. Oceanways is the name of the company. And the founder of the place said that whiskey would be the ideal stuff to transport across. Now, I think the reporters who were interviewing this guy, he was probably taking the piss out of them a bit.
He maybe was. I found this online. Look at this here. This is actually the routes proposed for the North Channel Tunnel. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 different routes there. Eventually they will come. Elon Musk will build them eventually one day. He will eventually build them one day. I can guarantee you.
He'll not. There's no point. I'd love him to build one. And mainly because it might piss off Nicola Sturgeon, which is always a good thing. And that annoys Nicholas all right with me. But no, as I say, it'd be a great job. But I don't ever see it happening, Justin. I just don't.
I think it will. I think it will one day. I think they'll have to. Either that, they'll probably do it, and then the day after it opens, they'll invent flying cars, and they wouldn't need them. They wouldn't need them. Talking of that, did you see the DeLoreans going all the way down the coast today? Did you? No.
I was in Belfast doing a very strange sort of streaming tour to an Indian company today.
All right.
So we shall see whether that pans out or not. But no, it was kind of fun. But I've never seen the DeLoreans. No.
Conor Ryan has been asked, and he says the Liffey Bridge in Dublin is called the Halfpenny Bridge because it cost half a penny to cross it. What would Boris Bridge be called? Listen,
the Kidney Bridge. The Kidney Bridge.
It would be called the Bridge over Troubled Water. That's what it would call it.
No, I think it would cost a bit of kidney to recoup their money. Oh my word! It would cost an absolute fortune of money. As I say, I've said this before in the show. I always do this analogy. People talk about millions and billions and stuff, and it's very easy to get confused by this. 1 million seconds is about 11 and a half days. 1 billion seconds is 34 years. So whenever they talk about billions it's considerably more. So yeah, I mean,
listen. Submarines. I mean, how on earth do you manage to get submarines into a whiskey show? But it's directly linked.
The guy Oceanways. I swear, I think he must have been pissing himself laughing when he said it. Oh, whiskey would be a great thing to transport in this we unmanned hydrogen powered submarines going across from Glasgow to Belfast.
And we have to put out an appeal tonight because Peter Stewart says he was going through his collections tonight and he can't find his 2 bottles of Old Cumber. Oh, Peter, have you drunk them? Has the other half thrown them out? Now,
is it Old Cumber? Because there's 3 versions of Old Cumber. There's the original one from the 50s, which is the real one you want. There's the 30-year-old one, which is it's awful, but again, it's still from the original distillery. And then there's the new one from Dunville's,
which promises something very good.
Well, put it like this: me and you have both tasted it, and it is superb stuff. Yeah, that is really, really good. And if you can get your hands on a bottle,
there's Dark Sky Spirits could have been on tonight. They says, what would the bridge be called? The Half Break Bridge. We had to record these guys 3 times because the internet was working against us. It's the new one he's missed.
Oh, hang on to that. and get one of them open and hang on to one. That's my advice to that. That's it. That's it.
There, William McLennan thinks this should call the bridge Whisky Galore, or the submarine would certainly be called that.
The only thing I would say, one of the problems with Boris's bridge was after the Second World War, all the unexploded ordnance, all the stuff that hadn't, all the bombs and mines and mortars and stuff that they hadn't blown up. There's only really a couple of things you can do. You can either defuse them all by hand, which takes a huge amount of time and is extremely expensive, or what you can do is just find a big hole and hoof them into it, which is what they done, and they hoofed them out there. Now, if that submarine sinks and goes down like that and triggers one of those mines, Boris's bridge will be. We don't need to worry about it because they'll blow the whole side of West Scotland and Larne to pieces.
Well, I have to tell you a little secret. And of course, Larne did get blown to pieces once when they were taking apart a munition ship many years ago. They had a mini explosion like the one that blew up Halifax a century ago when explosives ship was docked in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I had an uncle, a great uncle, who was on the munition ship run, right? And his munition ship in one go could dump more munitions than the government says dumped there, and he was on the run for about 7 years after the war. After the war, and he was the kind of boy. If he wanted to be back for the races starting at 1 o'clock an hour, he would just go around the corner, dump it, and be back in again. So there may be a lot closer to Troon than you think. Of course, can you imagine it? Trump's golf course getting blown to Kingdom Come or something like that.
I always love telling tourists. You know what's banned in Turnberry? Iron Brew's banned in Turnberry because it stains the carpet orange. If you get it on the carpet, it stains them orange.
Is that true?
That's true.
Is that true? What about fake tan? What about fake tan?
As long as Donald doesn't go for a roll on the carpet as well. Blame on somebody's drinking Iron Brew.
All right.
Now, the Tonight Show is about the environment, and there's lots and lots of stuff you can go on about the environment, and obviously this is certainly much more of a pressing engagement because it's getting urgent. We've ignored this for decades, we really have, and it's just getting worse and worse, and we can begin to really see the effects of this. And all companies, I've said it before, businesses are the only way to fix this. Okay, governments have to support businesses who then sell products to people, and that's how it will be fixed. So you have to support companies that are doing environmental things, and there's a whole range of stuff we can do. But first off, what I want to talk about is, I'll just set that down out of the way, is I bought a bottle of whiskey this week, and I felt very proud of myself because this is from the Dark Sky Spirits Company. And this is in support of the Muffet Eagle Festival. Now, Muffet's just across the water from me. It's across over in Dumfriesshire. Dark Sky area, and Muffet is a dark sky town. But they have been rearing and releasing golden eagles. If you've never seen a golden eagle in the wild, you really, really haven't lived. They are the most magnificent creature. They really are. And this week, we caught up with Dark Sky Spirits. Eventually, because I blame Justin. Justin messed this up. It took us three times. Now, environmental stuff is always supposed to be efficient and reduce, but we ended up having to record it 3 times. But eventually, we got it all in the can. We got caught up this week with Nick and Erin and a bit of a chat about Dark Sky Spirits and the Eagle bottling. So,
fly like an eagle. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's an eagle. I have to do it different every time.
The eagle has landed, hopefully, because this is take 3 of this. Because internet, this is why you do the internet, Justin. I do the natural world and things that are real, not the fake stuff that you do. You know. Now, we are joined by Nick and Erin from Dark Sky Spirit Company. Nick and Erin, hello again for the 3rd time.
Hi, how are you doing?
Not too bad, finally. Now, what we want to talk about now is the fact that you are supporting the Muffet Eagle Festival, which is happening this weekend. Tell us about the festival. Tell us about how you're involved and what we can do to help.
Yep, the festival is taking place this weekend in Moffat. It's the first Eagle Festival held in Scotland, and they've chosen the beautiful town of Moffat to hold it in, and they're collaborating with the South of Scotland Golden Eagle Project, which they're responsible for looking after the reintroduction of these magnificent birds into the wild. And we had 4 birds that were released here in the Moffat Hills in 2018. And they're due to release a few more.
Actually, I think they've released.
Or they have already done.
Into the hills, not far. It's an undisclosed location.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the timing, folks, because by the time people watch this, it'll be next week anyway, and they'll have all flown off anyway. So.
It's going out Saturday. No, so they've released eagles, and the idea is to obviously repopulate the place, because Scotland has had certainly a fairly healthy eagle population up until, well, really quite recently. I know, Nick, you had an experience.
Yeah, when I was a wee lad,
a wee boy,
we used to holiday up in Scotland all the time. And my first brush with eagles was when I was about 6 years old. And I remember coming up and being just blown away by the size of them. The raptors that we had south of the border were completely different scale. So seeing these, they just captured my imagination, and ever since I've sort of been in love with them, really. And when I was 6, I remember that Christmas, I got this gigantic eagle poster which sat on my wall at the foot of my bed, and it was there until I left university. So that was always it was a touchstone for me. Just the beauty of that bird and the background of the hills. Just amazing.
Well, I'm actually the same. I had a fantastic experience in Scotland with nature in the early 1980s. We were climbing to the top of a hill on a school trip beside Loch Lomond. And, well, lo and behold, didn't we discover the monarch of the Glen right at the top of the hill? And it scared the bejesus out of us. And all the school children slid down the hill on their backside, ripping the backside out of their pants. So there you go. And I have the lance here on the wall here. No, I don't.
No, I saw a golden eagle. I remember whenever I was a kid, we were driving in the hills not too far away from here, and there was one sitting on a bridge, and it just took off, and it's the sky kind of went a bit dark because it took off more or less in front of the thing, and it's such an impressive creature. They're just magnificent. Now, the festival is obviously to promote and inform people, etc., I assume.
Yes, the South of Scotland Golden Eagle Project, their purpose in life really is to rear these golden eagles in the absence of humans, so that the eagles don't have any familiarization with people, so they don't get too imprinted, and then to release them, track them, make sure that they're being cared for, and really just to educate around that. So educate farming community and the locals about these magnificent birds. Yeah,
they are truly magnificent. If you've never seen one in the wild, it's well worth traveling to go and see them. They are just the most amazing thing. Now, how are you helping the festival? What is your role in it?
We, when we first learned about it, we thought, it would be great to be able to make a scotch to help celebrate this. And so Nick can probably tell you about the liquid that's inside of it, and I'll tell you about the outside of it. So we had a local designer who we work with help us come up with a label, and it's sort of iconic features of Moffat, the Devil's Beef Tub on label, and the 4 eagles that were released into the wild.
Yeah,
very impressive. It's sitting there in the lovely purple heather as well.
Yeah. Now, how do people get the hold of a bottle of this, and what do they contribute when they get the bottle, when they buy it?
Right, so it's £55 for this bottle, and you can get it from us directly off the website, www.darkskyspirits.com, or you can buy it during the festival. So we'll have a stall on Saturday, the 18th. Aaron's got
the 25th.
25th, Saturday the 25th, and so that we're not selling it through retailers, because that retailer portion of the sale is going to go to the Golden Eagle Project.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to raise about £1,000 for that project. So that will, every little helps in the work that they do.
Yeah, I think that the more eagles there are about, the better it is. I always remember I went to a demonstration, and the guy was explaining about the term "fed up." When you keep eagles, when you keep raptors as birds of prey, you keep them as hunting birds or pets or whatever. They only stay with you because you feed them, because they're apex predators. They want to go and kill stuff. That's essentially what they're designed for. And if you overfeed them, they fly away. So it's okay if it's a kestrel or a little hook. The problem is if it's an eagle and it becomes imprinted the way you say it is, and you overfeed them, they get fed up and fly away. And when they fly away, they associate humans with food. So if someone's out walking their dog, for example, because an eagle could come down and quite easily left a small dog. Easy.
It's walking food. Yeah.
It's walking food, essentially. So the term "fed up," that's where the term comes from. Now, thank you very much.
So there you go. Fantastic stuff there from the guys at Dark Skies.
Now, I bought a bottle of this because I bought it before anybody thinks I bought this, and because I love eagles, and they are predators, and we hunt all the predators away and bring them back. So it's lovely stuff. I had a big touch of it last night. Now, the good folk at Dark Sky did a full interview with us, which will appear up in the podcast during the week. Now, they also sent this. So we're running a competition. 20 people. If you comment, like, and share, we will get them to send these out. Now, unfortunately, this is only open to people in the UK because of the current sort of Brexit shambles that keeps going on. But if you want to win a little bottle of Moffat blend, drop us a line and we'll get you onto the thing, and we'll pick 20 people and get them sent out. Okay?
Yes, it's always a good idea to comment, like, and share when the show is live. All your whiskey friends to get to know about it. At any time, you can hit us up on sort of Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. You can also ask your smart speakers to play Irish Whiskey Review Podcast, and the latest episode will start. And we're always thinking of new content and new stuff coming up here as well. And if you want to support us as well, it's buymeacoffee/Irish Whiskey.
Now, what we'll say is they've got a very interesting story and a really good project, including a family-friendly distillery, which excellent. The more of this kind of stuff, because we like all that. So we get caught up with Nick and Aaron. So listen to the podcast during the week. Remember, competition time. You want to win a miniature of Moffat blend. Now, environmental stuff. I just want to touch on some of the environmental stuff, because distilleries are fairly environmentally friendly anyway, but they do use lots and lots of energy to heat up the still, because you have to obviously boil off your liquid essentially. But there is also some other aspects to it. When you do your distillation, you have your oil left, the chemical stuff, and it's a fairly natural product, but it's quite high in copper, so it can't be fed to sheep because it kills sheep. But it also has a very high, what they call biological oxygen demand, which means you can't just get rid of it because it sucks oxygen. It needs oxygen to degrade. There's lots of stuff that they try and save on. Now, there's a fuel project. The government give millions to try and make the Scotch industries go a bit greener. And indeed, there's one anyway that I know of, carbon neutral distilleries in Scotland, the Nicknean. But there's a few in the pipeline, and I mean, the likes of the Boatyard Distillery is going to be carbon neutral by 2023, I think it is. And there's actually a distillery in Ireland who are so environmentally friendly that they won't answer emails or phone calls. Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
they seem to want to live off grid, as in they don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah, it's a weird one. That. Yeah,
Yes, it's extremely weird. We've sent a number of emails. We've tried to ring them. Don't answer any of them. They didn't even do it for Belfast Whisky Week. So,
should we doorstep them like that's life, and just doorstep them like Roger Cook and say, "You're doing an interview, or else."
it's a strange one. It's. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
There's people getting in the act already. Michael Linus is saying, would like to try that Moffat blend, something a bit different for me. And Frank Hearn is saying, have we had Scotch as competition before? Yes, we've had a couple of Scotches. Sure, with the wonky bottle on before, didn't we?
The River Rock.
Yeah,
the River
we did.
Well, it wasn't necessarily your typical Scotch, but the River Rock, if you remember, really good quality malt, or really good quality spirit, but not a huge amount of flavour. But it was really, really nice, really good quality stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And Frank Hearns, he's saying he must have missed that one. You maybe were away at the caravan, Frank, or something like that. And you missed it. You didn't have any signal that week, because we've been doing this for 18 months now. It's a long time when you're having fun, isn't it?
It is. It is. Yeah, it's a long time when you're having fun. Now, we were talking about sort of the carbon neutral stuff and trying to be environmentally friendly. So what we did this week, we went down under, didn't we, Justin?
Yeah, we did. That was like the submarines, the submarines went down under,
Yes. Upset our French cousins. We upset them guys.
I don't know what they're going to do when they put the subtitles up on this. It'll probably say something in French. It'll be all axed out. We'll be getting Zuckerberg.
You'll be getting Zuckerberg. The French Zuckerberg, Le Zuckerberg. Now, what we did was we got in contact with the Kinglake Distillery, all the way down in Victoria, down there, very near the Yarra Valley in Australia, because they are carbon neutral. Now, they're not a big operation. They're never going to be a big operation, but they are in an area which is probably going to be much more affected by climate change than certainly some other areas. And they set up a distillery to be carbon neutral. Huge task, and Chantal comes on and explains some of the difficulties that they had. But these are pioneers, because they'll show the way for other people. Everything's difficult to do it the first few times. Then it becomes a lot easier. So we caught up with Chantal during the week.
Marty, why isn't Chantal upside down?
Like that? You think we should be? Maybe we should be upside down. Justin, it's all a matter of perspective. It is. Exactly. Justin thinks just because we're up here and maybe it's that way. Who knows? It's all about now we're joined by Chantal Daniels of the Kinglake Distillery down under. Woohoo! And I sat early in the morning. I'm drinking tea. This is how early we have to do this, because it's 10 o'clock here, 7 o'clock in Australia and Victoria. Chantal, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for getting me on board.
Now, you are the Kinglake Distillery, and the reason I want to talk to you today is because you are trying to be the first carbon neutral distillery in Australia. Now, how are you doing this, or what led you to do that?
So when we bought the property, before we started setting up the distillery, it was off grid. So when we basically were trying to work out how to build a distillery, we were everything was already going to be solar panels, and then we got to a point where we've been up and running, selling whiskey, and we just thought, what's the next step? And we feel like carbon neutral's kind of like where the rest of the world, we all should go, really. I think a lot of distilleries don't choose to go that way because it's such an energy sapping process. You're heating water, you're cooling it, you're heating it, you're cooling it. But yeah, we just thought that doesn't mean you can't do it. So yeah, decided to go down that way.
Now, how did you come about to start the distillery? Because it's not an easy process. It doesn't make a great business model to go into a bank. So
No,
how did you how did you
not.
especially one when you say, oh, listen, we're going to start a distillery and we're going to make it really difficult for ourselves. This is probably really hard. So how
And
did
then
that happen?
all the money go out and not seeing and think why it ages for a few years in the barrels. Yeah, that's a good idea, good business.
No.
Yeah, I guess both of us have sort of come from hospitality in the past. My husband, the other part of the business is English. So he sort of does the business side, and we had some bars in France in the ski resorts. And then, yeah, we brought the farm out here, and then we just did a bit of testing and thought, why not make it rather than be in hospitality? Sort of get a bit over hospitality after a while. Yeah. And yeah, we've got our own water source on the property. So the mountain stream actually starts from our spring, which runs all year round. So we got that tested. Minerals were perfect when compared to the Irish and the Scottish whiskies. So we thought, well, that's probably a good start, and went from there, really. Obviously we've always loved all spirits, but yeah. So.
Yeah. Now, what measures do you take to reduce your carbon footprint?
So most of our pumps, again, none of them electric. So we've had to use sort of air compressors to run like our pump from the mash tun. So when you're making the beer part, you've got to try and let it go slowly out of the mash tun. So we've got to use a diaphragm pump, which uses an air compressor. So we're in the process of turning that to solar. Our water pumps, again, had to get all switched from diesel or petrol to solar panels, to solar. And then the only thing is we've got quite a big pot still that we use, and that's powered by a steam boiler, just because, yeah, it's just the quickest way to get it boiling. I mean, a lot of other people here just plug it into the plant, into the mains, but when we were setting up, we wanted it to be efficient, the distillery. So when we were doing our stripping run or any of the runs, we went there for 18 hours. We want to do this job forever. So one of the pain points that a lot of distilleries told us was, warming up the still takes so long, and then they're there for, the whole day. So the steam boiler...
Are you computer controlled then, Chantal? Are you more or less then? No?
No. All as basic as you possibly can. There's nothing automated at all. So completely all by hand.
So it's a very labour-intensive process you have there.
Yeah. It's not too bad. I mean, we do quite a big volume for sort of small people, like a small distillery like us. But everything's done. It helps us because if anything goes wrong, we can fix where the problem is. Yeah. And we're like the mountain range that looks over Melbourne in Victoria. So if something went wrong, it's not like you can just duck down the road to get something to fix it. So yeah, we made sure there's no automated process. But so the only thing we're working on, and we're going to have to probably do the carbon footprint at this stage, is our steam boiler is operated by gas. And we've got a lot of solar panels, but to try and generate enough solar for that, you'd need like $1 million to have it. And even then it wouldn't be efficient. Like all the solar panels we've got now, if it wasn't sunny, would only run the boiler for 30 minutes. So it's really taxing. But there's new technology coming out with the hydrogen splitting. So that will be able to infrastructure. But at the moment, then we're going through the really hard auditing for the carbon to become carbon footprint. So basically, we've got to track everything we've spent from setup until now. So therefore, when you drink that bottle, it will be completely carbon neutral. So it's a bit of a audit. It's not fun, but it's all right.
Well, in some ways, you have to be sort of carbon negative to offset some of the processes that you're not doing. So how do you factor that in?
So what are you meaning? Anything that we can't track.
Transportation.
Yeah. So that's what we'll carbon footprint at this stage until. So we deliver with Australian Post, which is lucky because they're carbon neutral. So obviously they offset all theirs. And then, we'll have to look into electric cars for me because I sort of cruise around to shops and bars and restaurants. So, it's really tricky to try and eliminate it. It's even down to your merchandise. Like you grab a T-shirt, you can't just get the usual, cheapy T-shirt and put your print on it. It's all got to be, a lot goes into it. But no, I mean, it's worth it. And hopefully then, we're not too worried about being the first. We really just want people to realise that it's doable and just, crack on. So.
Well, I think the thing about it is it's hard for the pioneers. Everything's always hard for pioneers. But then people piggyback on stuff that you've done. And it makes all these incremental changes is what changes the world, So,
but, I mean, it's still not perfect. Like you said, it's super hard to be completely neutral. But I think I tell people that a lot of people don't realise when we pay for the off printing as a government one, is basically what they're doing is they're not just planting trees; they actually stop something in the world getting bulldozed down. So, we're also going to donate. So we'll probably lose a lot of value on our land that we've got, but we're going to give the whole front one to replant as well to sort of help with it. But I think the nice thing to know is when you do it through the government is what their approach is to try and prevent things happening rather than.
Now you are in the mountains, but the Yarra Valley it's better known for being a wine region. Are you trying to change that? You're trying to say we're up above them, so we're spirits, and they're more wine. They can stay the wine.
I'm not going to make any comment. I like wine, but I'm definitely not a wine person. Like, I wouldn't, know.
No.
Have the locals been round with the pitchforks and shovels yet? Have they? No.
No, the locals have been great, but no, we're kind of tucked away down a dirt road, and we haven't got the sign out the front, so not too many people know where we are. So we're safe. Sure, they'll change.
No, keep up the good work. That's what you're doing is really important because, again, all these things, you see the effects of climate change all the time these days, and what's happening. You guys are kind of leading the way. More luck to you. Best of luck to you.
Cool, thanks.
There you go. Great girl there, doing.
A really, really nice girl. Really nice girl doing something important. Yeah. I know there's plenty of other people doing some stuff, trying to be carbon neutral, trying to move away over to hydrogen-powered transportation, and they're trying to do various things. And all of it's important because we need to start taking better care of things. We really do. And we need to stop just thinking other people are going to tidy this up because they're not. It's up to us. Now, one of the big things is there's a project that's microplastics. You think of the water going into your stills, going into your whiskies and so on and so forth. I read a thing today. There's 3 trillion pieces of plastic in the world's ocean today. 3 trillion pieces. And it's all breaking down, and there's more and more and more of it every day. And it's just infiltrating everything.
They need to get those ships to suck it all up and get rid of it all. They definitely do.
There's so much stuff that needs to be done, and when you get talking to people like Chantal, who's doing this kind of thing, I'd love to get talking to an Irish whiskey distillery who's doing it, but they don't want to speak to anybody. They don't want to. They're so carbon neutral. They don't want to use CO2 to speak. I'm not going to name names. But.
There's Frank Hearn saying he cycled in the Yarra Valley 20 years ago. Were you cycling around Australia with John Bishop, were you? You ever seen that show? It's quite good, actually.
Well, put it like this. My great-uncle, totally diverse, I found out my great-uncle was buried a couple of miles away from Chantal's distillery. He basically disappeared to Australia. Nobody ever heard anything more about him. And I done the family tree, found out where he was, and a total coincidence. He's only a couple of miles away from Chantal.
There you go. That's a good excuse. World. Can I pack my bags tonight to go to Australia? Oh no, we can't get in there either. Oh yeah, we can't get in there either.
Are we not allowed in Australia? Even though we're going to share missile technology and stuff with them.
I know that. I know. You won't want to get into Australia when the Chinese get there. Now, I could start an international incident in the teacup. Darren and Barney Milligan is sent back to the old ways of using water wheels, perhaps.
Absolutely. I mean, why not?
Here,
It's a perfectly reasonable way of doing things.
Darren Barney Milligan's a paper. Look at that. Should we tell them how many viewers are papers? Well,
No,
I went out.
Your papers. No,
I went out last week, just before the show started, about 7 o'clock. I went down with my cousin, and I videoed the combined massed bands of the Irish Guards, the Irish Dragoons, and the Royal Irish Regiment, and put it on YouTube and Facebook straight away. And
now, the thing is, the people running it paid a production company to come down and film it and put it up and do all the stuff with it, and they did. And they did a good enough job. Okay, fair enough. They got about 10,000 views just in something.
Well, it was about 20,000 views in the end that they got. 20,000 views they got in the end, yeah. Justin
done it for free, and I think it's about 156,000 views he got so far.
Yeah, it's pretty high. So we'll actually give you a little. We'll give you a little link to that so as you can watch it because it is pretty special, and you can enjoy the bands in Carrickfergus.
My uncle Noel used to be a sergeant in the Royal Irish, and what he did was to defend, in the interest of defending NATO, he used to play the French horn. No, he always tells us the story that Gorbachev used to ring over and say, "Is Noel still on? Is Noel still on guard? Is Noel still playing the French horn?" That was he was basically the Iron Curtain fell.
There's the link there. The link's on screen, so you can click that link there. It's just there, and that'll you can enjoy 3 tunes there. It starts off with this little march, and there you go. What's we saying? Well, papers and whiskey go hand in hand. They do, yeah.
Listen, we made a bit of a joke because Erin from the Dark Skies, she is a music therapist by trade back in the US. And whenever I heard about music therapy, I kind of thought, it's one of these sort of new agey, we can cure cancer by listening to people playing the pan pipes or something. But it's actually not. It's more for kids with like autism and stuff, and it calms them down and so on. And I was making a joke about being in Scotland. What you could do is music therapy with the bagpipes. That would be if someone can do that. That would be, calming people down with the bagpipes. But listen to the interview with it. It's quite funny.
So before we go, folks, we better remind you about the Dark Sky Spirits competition because they've been kind enough. They've got 20 of these. And if you comment, like, and share this production, tell your friends, you will be in with a chance of getting one. I don't know when we're going to do it because we had other stuff planned, but the order we're doing things in isn't exactly what we'd planned.
No, well, the thing about it is we'll get it sorted out, get it sent over, get some names in. We'll get them sent out. We can have it maybe in a couple of weeks' time. Whatever. There's no guarantee of when we'll get it done. It just depends on postage and all that kind of stuff as well.
Okay.
So that do.
Yeah, that's good. And then Trevor Watson is also known to play a few tunes in the pipes too.
Excellent. We should have a marching band going.
We could have them on. We could have the Irish Whiskey Review special. We could get Jules Holland in to hootenanny it and all stuff like that.
And what we could do is record it about 8 months in advance and then later on then pretend it's like Christmas special.
Well, you have to do to get all the stars together. That's normal.
Yeah.
So, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. It's been an Eco Distillery special. Thanks to Kinglake.
Go and get a bottle of this and support the Eagle Festival. I have it here. A little bit of smoke, a little bit sweet, honey, heather, lovely. So, yeah, go on, buy a bottle of that and support the Eagles.
John Dunn is saying, great show as usual, chaps. And Mark Kerr is saying, all your dreams could come true, Marty. He says they could do a new news tune for you. bagpipe one. I would cry. I would cry if my hard work was replaced by the bagpipes.
Listen, nothing tops. I had a guy say to me tonight, a guy called Strobes, said to me tonight, he says, I love the sort of pathy music, 1950s kind of stuff. As soon as I heard it, I fell in love. So that'll never change. It'll always be the same as it is. So the bagpipes can be another feature on the show.
All right. Thanks very much for watching. Patrick Muggy saying good night.
Good night,
Mark
guys.
Kerr said it was a great show. And Frank Hearn was saying he was watching last week's show, but he cannot beat watching live. Yes, live is always the best. And if you go on YouTube and you hit subscribe and you comment on YouTube, it helps the algorithm and it helps more people watch it. And Facebook as well. Go on there. Listen, and we're getting asked. William's asking us to get up to do lunch there at his fabulous bothy, but I don't know when we're going to get. We just can't get at the minute, can we?
But look, at the minute we're both sort of working all the time. We're working as much as we can. I went 18 months without any income, so I have to try and work as much as possible.
Snowed under. I'm even on the radio on Monday. We'll have a great week as well. Make sure you catch up with us on YouTube, Facebook, the podcast as well. The interviews are up there with both the Eco Distilleries. They'll be both up there by tomorrow. So they'll be both up there by tomorrow. So thanks a lot for watching and thanks a lot for supporting as well at Buy Me a Coffee /Irish Whiskey Review. And we're eventually going to get out and do that tour, but
just at the minute. Between work and places not being open and COVID and all the other crap of the day, you know.
And I just seen the Ulster Orchestra actually cancelled their James Bond night because of the Delta variant. They were 80% sold, but they can't do the old social distance in the thing, you know. We need an Eagles tune to close the show. If we did that, we'd get Zuckerberg, Connor.
Welcome to the Hotel Londonderry Arms, which is where my stepmother was having. Again, happy 70th to my stepmother, Charlotte.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks very much.